Hello everybody, welcome again to my series on United States coinage. This is part 4 where today we're going to cover half dollars from the United States. First we're going to start off with the draped bust design. This is an 1807. These are slightly larger than a typical half dollar, larger in diameter, a little bit heavier in weight. This happens to be my absolute favorite coin, or favorite type of coin, and I have several of these that are raw like this one. Not a very high grade, but a beautiful coin nonetheless. I'm going to show you, now this is my favorite coin. This is the an 1806 draped bust half dollar, and it's PCGS VF30. And if you look in there, you could still see a lot of mint luster left, especially right behind the ear. If you look right behind the ear here in this protected area, you could see the luster still in that little pocket there. Also along in the lettering in the devices. We'll look at the reverse. Again, nice mint luster rolls across the surface. You might be able to see that. It's very unusual for such a lower grade coin. This is only a VF30. Usually luster is all gone by the time they hit that grade. This one has some really pretty toning around the rim, indicating that it was probably stored in an album for a long time. This is my absolute favorite coin of my whole collection right here. Okay, after the draped bust series came the capped bust series. I don't have a really nice capped bust half dollar. This is about the best I have, and this is an 1832. At first glance, this looks like a rather high grade coin. Okay, it looks like it's got luster. Okay, what that is in fact is what they call whizzing, where somebody went over this coin really carefully with like a wire brush on a high-speed rotary tool, such as like a Dremel tool, and polished the fields to make it look like it has luster. On this particular coin, it's tough to tell on some coins, but on this particular coin you can easily tell for the amount of detail in the coin otherwise. Look at right here where the bust is. There's almost no drapery whatsoever as far as detail goes. Whoever was whizzing this really put too much pressure and they took away all the details of the bust here, of the bust drapery. You know, conditionally wise, it's pretty high grade. It's probably a higher end extra fine, but again, it's been whizzed, so it's an altered coin. It reduces its value by a lot. Okay, after the capped bust design, we have the seated design. Now here's a really pretty coin. This is an 1854 with arrows, seated half dollar. I would venture to say this is pretty original here. It's a nice grade. It's probably an extra fine 40, maybe 45. I think it's got enough details to qualify for a 45. Good shield. And here's the reverse. And again, you've seen this type of coin on the half dimes and the dimes and the quarters that I showed you in my earlier videos. This is just a really pretty coin. This was the very first coin that I purchased for over $100. Actually, this was right at $100. And this is the first time I spent $100 on a coin. I was sweating like crazy that day. Okay, after the seated, I'm going to show you one more seated. This is a very high grade example, or mid to high grade example. This is an MS63 from PCGS. It's an 1875 seated half dollar. And it's got great luster. Sharp details. Probably a little too many small contact marks in the fields for it to qualify for a higher grade, but a very pleasing coin. Okay, after the seated design came the barber or Liberty Head design, and you've seen this on the quarters and the dimes that I showed you earlier. This is probably like an XF 40, extra fine 40. Maybe been cleaned. I'm not sure. You know, most stuff has been cleaned. We're going to try to cover that on another video. How to spot a cleaned coin. It'll be like the blind leading the blind. I'm certainly not an authority on it, but I could try to give you a few pointers. This is a nice raw coin. It sits nicely in my set. And we've got a slabbed coin of the same type. Okay, this is just an AU53. It's nothing really special. It's an 1894 S, I believe. The reverse. I bought this one raw, and it graded out, so it's nice when it works out that way sometimes. So, after the barber head examples, we're going to go to the next design, which was the Walking Liberty. Now this design, you might see it's been borrowed and it's been placed on today's silver bullion, United States Silver Eagles. So this is just a raw coin. This is 1946. Pretty decent condition. And then a reverse, nice big eagle. That really is a beautiful coin. Beautiful design. Okay. And after they finished production of the Walking Liberty, the next effort from the mint was the Franklin half dollar. And here's the Franklin half dollar. This is a pretty short-lived series. It probably would have lasted longer if it was not for the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. I don't know the exact number of years that this was produced. I think 1948 to 1963, which in coin terms is a pretty short period. Again, I mentioned earlier that silver coins must have an eagle and a reverse. That's the point of this here. You know, you're sitting here wondering, well, what the heck is that? That is an eagle that by law had to be included in the reverse. The main design is the Liberty Bell. On these coins, there's a strike designation. It's called full bell lines, and there's lines right in these bells here. You can't see it, of course, because this camera is not that great. But people collect this coin by that designation, full bell lines. And you really need a loupe to really see that. It's similar to the full bands on a Mercury dime or a full head on a standing Liberty quarters. Okay, and after the Franklin was everyone's familiar with this, the Kennedy half dollar. They still make these today, but not for circulation. I think by law they have to make a certain number, and they're only sold like in mint sets and in proof sets. So you're not going to see these in circulation from the later dates, such as like 07, 06, 05. I can't remember the exact year that they stopped putting them out in circulation, but they don't put them out in circulation anymore. Here's the reverse. This is a 90% silver coin here. And 1964 was the last year of the silver coinage for 90%. They continued to make the Kennedy half in 40% silver for a few years after this, but that was pretty much the end of an era. So that concludes United States half dollars. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye bye.